Good morning, bonjour. We're live in Paris at the very, very first edition of the Monocle Christmas Market here in the French capital. You're listening to Monocle on Sunday with me, Tyler Brûlé. Coming up on today's program, I'm very happy to say Alexandre Kouchner is here this morning. Also, Adrian Garcia, he's manning a stand. He's also doing radio. Bonjour, very nice to see you.
Very nice to meet you, to see you.
As well.
How are you?
I think we've met before anyway.
Yeah.
What has caught your eye this morning? What are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about ideas for Christmas, second-hand Christmas gifts, and the new Miss France. You know, she's named Inopoko de Vez.
Yes, we've been talking a little bit about Hinopoko this morning. Emma Nelson is here this morning. Emma, we were up rather late last night because we were texting back and forth because we were glued to TF1 watching this extraordinary pageant.
Everything from thigh-high blue and white stripy boots to a woman dressed as an oyster. It was France at its worst and also at its best.
Television at its very best.
Amazing.
We're also going to be heading to Helsinki, and we'll be talking a little bit later to our Fernando, Augusto, Pacheco about the Eurovision Song Contest. It's the 7th of December 2025, live from Paris. This is Monocle on Sunday.
Live from Paris, this is Monocle on Sunday with Tyler Brûlé.
And good morning, bonjour everybody. Very, very nice to be in our cozy little studio here at Rue Berchemont. Very happy to say Alexandre Kouchner is here. Very nice to see you again. We have late breaking news just as we were going on air. You said, I believe there's a coup in Benin right now as well, or underway, but we'll be talking about that in a little bit more detail as well. Adrian Garcia also here. Emma Nelson right beside me as well. You were, of course, around the mic yesterday. And we should say that the Christmas market, this is the first time that we've had the Christmas market here in Paris. Yesterday we also had Tokyo was underway, Toronto as well. Tokyo, actually these are both happening today as well. How was yesterday for you?
Yesterday was lovely to see the iteration of a very, very well-known and well-loved part of Monocle come to a new place. And it was quite strange and quite wonderful. I'm not entirely sure what the Parisians made of a giant owl pottering.
As long as they knew it was an owl, because so many people see Mono-chan and they think he's a penguin just because he's black and white. And I have to correct. Normally the parents are saying to their child, "Oh, look at the amazing penguin." It's like, no, it's an owl. People.
Do you step in?
I have to intervene.
You intervene?
Well, of course, because you're helping educate future generations as well. Adrian, good morning. You, of course, you wear many hats, and some of them are finely knit out of wool as well. So aside from doing the Boldway podcast series, you're also, of course, running a fashion brand as well.
Fashion brand, yeah, exactly.
Do we call it a fashion brand or is it a knitwear brand? What do we say?
A knitwear brand, a luxury knitwear brand.
Okay, and tell our listeners a little bit more about your luxury knitwear brand.
Yeah, I mean, this is for women. We've got we are specialized in the Milano stitch, which makes a very easy and light at the same time, very warm, neat, perfect, and very structured for any woman, And
well, also for people, also for people who might be in a cold studio at some point, right, Emma?
Yes, I happen to be wearing one of Adrian's things. I did the thing that you're not supposed to do.
Thank you so much for your support.
When I am delighted, I'm a very happy woman thanks to your wonderfully structured knitwear. I did that thing that you're not supposed to do when you're at work, which is interview the person and then buy the thing off the person.
Right.
It's a.
I thought that was part of the magic.
Well,
anyway,
yes,
it could be.
it happens to me more often than perhaps it should. And I just stood there, and when your partner Alice explained just the fact that you can dress it up, you can dress it down. It is beautifully knitted. It's structured, and you can machine wash it," said the woman in a rush. Then that was it. I was completely sold, and I'm wearing it this morning, and it's incredibly warm.
Thank you.
Alexandre Kouchner, you've of course been on this very radio station before. Give us just a brief CV. If someone was sitting beside you in the TGV, you struck up a conversation over a lovely glass of semi-warm white wine on the TGV, you would say, how does your day look?
My day looks busy. Unfortunately, I don't have such a fashion, sense as you all do, and meaning I work in news. So, sitting right next to you, I'm feeling a bit sort of disadvantaged right now because I'm looking at, how the EU fined Twitter for non-compliance with the DSA Act, which, you can dress it down, you can dress it up, but at the end of the day, it's really more about...
It's still not a Milano stitch.
Yeah, it's not a Milano stitch. No. It's really a Musk sort of knot around free and fair information market. I'm a journalist, I'm a political analyst, and I also teach rhetoric and political analysis. So at the end of the day, I think it's a dress down.
No, it's a dress up.
Well, listen, on the topic of Milano stitch, Emma Nelson has the news headlines for us.
Thank you very much indeed, Tyler. France's President Emmanuel Macron will travel to London to meet the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today, along with the German Chancellor and British Prime Minister. The meeting comes a week after Monsieur Macron hosted President Zelensky in Paris. Qatar says negotiations over the war in Gaza are at a critical moment. Mediators are working to force the next phase of the ceasefire forward. The Qatari Prime Minister said the current situation equates to a pause and it cannot be considered as a ceasefire. Chinese fighter jets have directed their fire control radar at Japanese aircraft over international waters. Japan's defense minister said Chinese J-15 jets were launched from an aircraft carrier manoeuvring close to Japan's Okinawan Islands. Hong Kong citizens are voting on Sunday to elect members of its Legislative Council. Security has been tightened in the northern district of Tai Po, close to the border with mainland China, where a fire engulfed 7 residential towers, killing 159 people. The focus has been on turnout, with authorities scrambling to avoid a broader public backlash. And this year's Miss France competition has been won by Miss Tahiti. Flanked by dozens of other contenders, the winner, Hannah Poco de Vez, was crowned after a lengthy and glitzy telethon last night on French television. Those are the headlines. Back to you, a bare metre away, Tyler Brûlé.
Not even, yeah, you're right, not even a meter away.
No, we're not.
Very, intimate, cozy corner here. I always forget, is this Studio 5 in Paris?
I think we're on to Studio 5
We're on
now.
to Studio 5.
Yeah, because we go via Zurich and Tokyo. And
we do. It's just 10:06 here in Paris, and we're going to be heading to Helsinki in a very, very brief moment. But I believe the doors are already been thrown open, Emma. I think that we've got our sort of first coffee crowd, and people are already manning their stands this morning. So aside from picking up good knitwear yesterday at Réunis, thanks to Alice and Adrian, what else did you purchase yesterday?
Yesterday, it was the day of the non-alcoholic warm Negroni.
Warm Negroni.
Warm Negroni.
Okay.
Two things which are phenomenally counterintuitive when it comes to Negroni. But somehow a very nice man called Nicola, who stole the recipe from his nonna in Italy, has managed to pull it off. And I spoke to him at quite length about how he goes about making something that's quite delicious that doesn't have you on the floor in 25 minutes. It was lovely. But he did say you can tweak and you can massage it a tiny bit. And apparently Nonna tips a little bit of gin in there just as a little bit of a warmer, probably mid-morning, apparently. So we quite like Nonna.
We're close to that. Then.
Nonna's the kind of lady who apparently makes her own limoncello.
Okay. I like the sound.
I like a nonna that does that. That's going to be something that's that's going to be a future project in my world. We also had some very beautiful glasses that came from Zurich from a former staff member at Monocle.
Colleague, absolutely.
Someone who can make glasses and pull a very, very
So you purchased eyewear as well?
No, I did not. That was it. I'm done. I'm scraped out. There's nothing left.
It's so expensive.
Did you just say it's so expensive?
It's cheap.
Well, listen, on the topic of making booze in your basement, why don't we head to the far side of the Baltic right now? I'm very happy to say that our correspondent, our man in the Baltic region, Petri Burtsoff, is there. Hyvää huomenta. Good morning.
Hyvää huomenta, Tyler. And correct, there is some booze, of course, in my basement, as in every Finn's basement. But I have to say right off the bat that I'm a bit worried that Emma's having non-alcoholic Negronis. What's happening there?
She gave you a disclosure that there is scope to, of course, spike them if you want, because we did hear, as we just said, that the was it the mother or the grandmother is tipping a bit of gin in there as well. So you can enhance it. So don't worry, Petri.
All right. Okay, good. I just, as a Finn, I got a little bit worried there. But listen, Tyler and everybody listening. I mean, it was Finnish Independence Day yesterday, so I'm not the only Finn who's slightly hungover this morning. I think all the Finns are. It is by far the biggest celebration of the year. Not only for those lucky ones who about 2,000 people who get invited to the presidential palace for the ball. Somehow my invitation was lost in the mail again. But also all the Finns celebrating at home, and you know it's quite spectacular. I just read on the Yle national broadcaster website that 3 million people. So let's remember, there's 5.5 million Finns. 3 million people tuned in to watch the Independence Day reception at the presidential palace. You know, that is those are just remarkable numbers, especially taken into account how boring it all is. It's basically 3 hours of the president shaking hands with the movers and the shakers in the country. But yeah, Finns like to watch this slow TV handshaking. It turns out.
Okay, so Petri, Emma's going to clatter away on the keyboard. I want to know how many people were watching Miss France last night, not just of course, on this continent, but of course in France's far-flung territories. Let's see if it was more than 3 million viewers. And this is obviously quite a spectacle where there's always sort of a lot of, like, I would say, drones, a lot of people walking up red carpet, etc. I've caught this sort of once or twice before. But what happens when you're viewing at home, when you watch this spectacle? Is there a dinner that goes with it? What happens?
Yeah, you there is a dinner, there's drinks involved, but I mean, most people, it's basically just, it's not like a grand, evening, whatever, a gala dinner. It's basically just people sort of watching TV and having a nice bite to eat, maybe some, because it's almost Christmas time, so we made some gingerbread cookies and made some glögg, Finnish glühwein. But it's sort of like, you can maybe compare it to Thanksgiving in a way that you eat, but then it's also quite relaxed. But then the thing is, I mean, most, I would say, like 70% of the TV broadcast, which is what, 4 hours, 5 hours, 70% of that is just the handshaking, and people tune in to watch how people are dressed. Of course, I think you have to go online and see the photos, because I think Met Gala has nothing on the Finnish presidential ball, the way people are dressed. But then it's also sort of like analyzing who made it there, because let's remember, this is not like the Nobel dinner. This is ordinary Finns can get invited if they did something extraordinary. So there's always like, hey, oh, my friend got an invite. Oh, that and that. Like, I was watching last night. Oh, that and that journalist got an invite. Why didn't I get an invite? So there's that. And yeah, then also sort of looking at how the president and the first lady, how they chat with the guests. Because I mean, obviously it's supposed to be just a very brief greeting, hyvää itsenäisyyspäivä, happy Independence Day. But then, we saw the likes of the Ukrainian ambassador chatting there for almost a minute. And then you can sort of know who the real friends are by just the way they greet the president. So it's all this kind of small analysis goes on in Finnish living rooms.
I want to bring in Alexandre on this. On Bastille Day, do we have something similar as well? Is something happening at the Élysée where you have, of course, the great and the good also showing up and wanting to have a moment, of course, with the leadership here?
Of course we do. Of course, it's about going to the palace. It's not televised, though. What happens in the Élysée Palace stays in the Élysée Palace, and says, unless we take it to the street, but then the streets come into the Élysée Palace. It's the other way around.
Which is not great, yes.
Which is, depending on where you stand.
Exactly, true.
But we do have a massive show. We do have fireworks, but it's different in the sense that you actually tend to celebrate more locally. So every fireman caserne, as we call it, so every fireman center hosts a ball, which you go to either to actually hit on the very nice looking fireman people, or to see your girlfriend or your boyfriend being hit on by a very good looking fire people. So that's one of the things we actually do.
Emma's loving the sound of this. Petri, I don't know if there's something similar happening, out in the woods or in the villages of it doesn't also have to be during, of course, on Independence Day, but it's you're selling this, Alexandre. It sounds very good.
Well, it's very French. You go to a very local place, you meet very good-looking people, you actually party, and there is a lot of heavy drinking involved, I have to say. On the 15th, there's a national hangover day.
Okay.
I've done this. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because
you like a fire station. You might like a fireman as well.
Tell me who doesn't love a fire station?
Yeah. Well, especially in South Tyrol. Where there is sort of real architectural excellence, as we know.
We're not looking at the buildings, Tyler.
No, we're not.
But a bit of dress up.
Absolutely.
Well-polished hoses.
Yeah.
All spick and span, ready to go. And then they just host amazingely. It's all good, very, very, very good fun.
Yeah, I'll make it sound like it's an adult-only entertainment, but it's not. It's a family thing.
No.
Well, it's pretty, after a certain hour.
Adrian, have you partaken as well?
Of course. But the problem is they are super good looking. It's like when they are jogging, running in the street of Paris with their tiny shorts.
Yeah, exactly, with the tiny shorts and the tight tops.
Exactly.
And you see pompier on the t-shirt.
And all the girls are watching like, wow.
Right.
It's driving me crazy.
Okay, Petri, is there an equivalent as well? If we were sort of sitting in Esplanade or somewhere in Helsinki, can we watch the firemen run past? Maybe not in tiny shorts at this time of year. Maybe so. I don't know.
Sadly not. I think we have to borrow a thing or two from the French. But we did have, I don't know if it goes on anymore, but we had those sort of like fireman Christmas calendars at some point. I haven't seen them in a couple of years. Maybe there was some, I don't know, human rights association that got offended.
No doubt human rights scandal for sure.
Exactly. But yeah, sadly.
Sorry, Petri. We're going to go around the table. I'm going to start with Alexandre. We'll do a little bit of a news roundup right now. If we're looking at the French press this morning, television, tuning into radio, opening our front pages, turning on our screens. What are we seeing this morning?
Well, unfortunately, we're not speaking about tiny shorts anymore.
No.
The French news is actually very much focused on whether or not we will still have a government by the end of the week, because the French Parliament has been looking at trying to pass a budget, which is the hurdle that the last two prime ministers were not able to pass. And the debates right now are fiery. They're moving somewhere. The question is where, and that's what keeps everybody's on their toes. But that's what the press is mostly focused about.
Does this budget have to pass by year end? Is there a hard deadline on this? I'm sure it would be nice to enter 26 with a budget, but
it would be nice. It would be a change as well. You know, we haven't had that for the past years. Normally there is a hard deadline, but there are ways for the government to go around it and to gain some time. The problem there is that should it not pass, we could actually sort of carry over last year's budget, which would not bode well for low-income families and for France as well, because nothing says we're, you know, right there, up there in the race to the future as if we were having the last year's budget. So that's what we're looking at. It's looking better than last time, but there are two major texts that needs to be voted. One is on social security, so that's social welfare. That seems to be on their way, but then we have to look at the actual budget, and this is where it's getting very, very tense.
Adrian, you've got a story, sort of sort of budget related as well, and this has to do with, I believe, secondhand Christmas. But tell us what this is about.
Yeah.
I believe it's a story which is in Le Monde.
Yeah, this is a story in Le Monde, and the testimonials are really brilliant. Laurence, you know, she's 60, gives her partner an old iPhone, 5 years old, you know, but for him it's a treasure. Romain, convinced he was doing the right thing, gave his mother a refurbished smartphone until his sister looked at him as if he would gifted a broken toaster, you know. An iPhone 13, don't you love a mother? Family warmth in the finest, you know. Would you do it? Would you give a second hand?
I wouldn't give it. Listen, I wouldn't give a mobile device for Christmas as a starting point. It's like giving somebody, I don't know. I mean, I'd give you a tablet for Christmas or something. No. So that's just a no. But the story is about just people generally being cheap, or is this more about upcycling and that this is great for society? What's the story about?
No, this is very much about upcycling. It's great for the future, for our planet, etc., etc. But you know, I mean, this is very much this new generation. You know, they can buy vintage Birkenstock at 140 and give a second-hand gift. You know, that's a bit.
Yeah, I'd wonder sort of what the advertisers of M. Le Monde sort of think about this as well. When, you know, of course, the fortunes of the paper in many ways are driven by all of the luxury ads in the magazine as well. When you're encouraging people to then go buy secondhand,
this is a big problem.
Bit of a finger up, you know.
Luxury has got a bit of a crisis going on here in two folds. First of all is the massive proliferation of fakes and replicas, but secondly, there is something to be treasured in something. I mean, when you say second-hand, it sounds a bit grubby, but when you say vintage, one of the lovely things I used to do for my mum was I used to buy her a pair of vintage Dior earrings every single year. And that was something that I actually adored finding out, because there wasn't a sense of commercialization of it. It was just something really beautiful. And there's that thing, isn't there? There's the joy in the object. Whereas if you've got something like a second-hand iPhone, I am assuming that a conversation will have been had before the presentation of the second-hand phone. Because, I wouldn't tell my mum I was buying her a new pair of earrings, but I would probably tell someone if I was going to buy them a second-hand phone. So this idea of what constitutes something joyful and beautiful and of value to the person you're giving it to. The last thing I want is for someone to give me something just because they think it's a bit flash.
Right. Petri, tell us from the shores of Finland, give us something Christmas themed that is happening in your nation.
Yes, so Helsinki and all of Finland really, but Helsinki for the most has really entered the Christmas porridge mania like never before. I don't know if you have porridge being served at the Monocle Christmas market in Paris, but in Helsinki, the porridges are at every stall in every Christmas market. There's just queues and people posting photos of their Christmas porridges, and there's different takes on the classic Christmas. This is, of course, rice porridge, traditionally served with cinnamon and sugar up north in the Nordic countries and the Baltics. But the restaurants have now really gone sort of more adventurous serving. There's the one that won the Helsinki Sanomat. They actually did a review of all the Christmas porridges, and the one that won the comparison it's actually from a whiskey distiller, Helsinki Distilling Company. So they made this sort of a Christmas porridge with roasted marshmallows, lingonberry gel, some gingerbread crumbs, and then whiskey caramel. So I think it's only in Finland that whiskey caramel on porridge that it wins the national porridge award for the best porridge. But yeah, this is the first time that I've seen such a craze over Christmas porridge. What's the porridge situation like in Paris?
There is no porridge situation in Paris. There is, I think there's a raclette situation, of course, not fired up maybe just yet, but that would be sort of the driving force if you were out front. Alexandre, or have I missed something? Is there rice pudding, adult baby food available elsewhere?
This is France we're talking about.
It is.
So no, but we do have mulled wine, which you actually do serve here at
we do
at the Monocle coffee shop for over Christmas, and this is what would amount pretty much to the same thing. Except it's wine.
I think Petri's also going to say you've got your, what do you call it, glöggi or glögg, or glögg is Swedish, but what do you call it in Finnish?
We call it glöggi, so that's basically borrowing from the Swedish, and it's the exact same thing.
Exactly. There's no spin on it, no marshmallows, infused in the top. No.
Not yet. So just basic glögg or glöggi as we call it, and then we just add almonds and raisins into it. And it's somehow compared with glühwein. I think there's a little bit less. It's kind of counterintuitive, but there's actually a little bit less alcohol that you would have in a glühwein.
Now, listen, you've done a bit of a land grab as well, because you're supposed to stay in your lane, but I guess anything that has Santa in it, you feel you have rights to that story. So you've jumped across the polar circle to Canada. You have something else for us. Looks like it's out of the suburbs of Toronto, I believe.
Yes, exactly. This is in a town called Brantford, outside of Toronto. I don't know if Tyler, if you've ever been to their annual Santa Claus parade.
I've driven through Brantford. Yes.
Okay. But it turns out the people of Brantford, at least some of them, are real party poopers when it comes to the Santa, because people actually put up signs during the Christmas parade in their home windows, signs saying things like Santa is fake, Santa isn't real, or your parents are Santa. And then some people were so upset that they contacted the police. They called the police on these homeowners, and then the police turned up and confirmed that actually it's not illegal to be so-called Grinch and put up these signs, but it's not very nice either. And there's a lot of, this whole incident sparked a lot of reactions. Some people really disliked this display of sort of calling Santa fake, while others were really shocked that you had to call the police on that. But, again, this is something that would never happen in Finland. Of course, everybody knows that Santa is real. Everybody knows he comes from Lapland.
Yeah, of course, Santa is a living national treasure in Finland. I was sort of wondering, you would be sort of life imprisonment probably if you put up such a sign in Finland, correct?
Absolutely. You would be publicly humiliated if you did that.
Yeah, well, of course, absolutely. What is the view? I mean, I was, of course, Emma, we spent a lot of time watching TF1 last night, watching Miss France. So I saw a lot of television commercials. And what do you learn about France at this time of year? I was surprised by the amount of chocolate advertising. I mean, I thought also the fortunes of TF1 at this time of year, very much underwritten by the Swiss, because Lindt had ads, I thought, and it's a special, it's a
the Arc de Triomphe
the Arc de Triomphe special. I need to go out and get that. There's a special edition. So they were really sort of pushing this, Petri, which I thought was quite something. But not a lot of imagery of Santa in the ads. I mean, a lot of celebration, a lot of gifts, a lot of people coming together, Alexandre, but really not sort of a sense. I didn't see Santa sort of, popping up. How do people feel about Père Noël here?
Well, maybe we should blame it on Canada then. Because if they're spreading fake news like, Santa isn't real, then we're talking about information warfare here. Do we celebrate Christmas? Yes, we do. Do we have a war on Christmas here in France? No, that doesn't exist. It's sort of being spun over by some very right-wing conservative, but we do, sort of greet each other saying Merry Christmas. And
it's Merry Christmas. It's not, I mean, okay, it's in French, Joyeux Noël, but it's not Happy Holidays.
Well, you can do both, but you say Joyeux Noël a lot. I think we do. I'm looking at the other Frenchmen at this table, and we do speak. We do greet each other saying Joyeux Noël. We do celebrate Santa.
Adrien, can you confirm this? This is true.
This is true.
Of course.
This is true. Yeah.
This is breaking news here in Paris at 10:26. We do celebrate Christmas, and we do have apparently fire people running around in tight shorts. Come around and visit. It's a fun time to be around in Paris.
Hey, and do we still want this to be the most visited country in the world? Of course we do, right?
Of course we do, and of course we need it. We haven't had a balanced budget since 1974. So, any type of income that we can get, we will take. That doesn't mean a waiter will actually be very nice and greet you, properly when you enter a cafe. But that's part of the French charm, right?
Okay, Adrien, we're going to stay with Le Monde. You have a story. They've got not a rescue remedy, but they have, I believe, a couple of gifts. This is, again, a Le Monde recommendation. These are not Adrian's recommendation. The Monocle may or may not endorse these. What have they come up with?
Believe it or not, a XXL air fryer.
A double XL air fryer. Listen, Petri, has the air fryer, things sometimes are slow to make it to Finland. Has the air fryer craze reached Finland yet, 3 years later?
Oh my God, it has, and I just refuse to. It's so ugly, and I just, my mom is always going on about, oh, you need to get one. It's so practical, but I believe in this classical. Actually, there is a French
just you wait, just you wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, Adrien, keep going.
Camera that never mess up.
The Instax, like you mean, like the Fujifilm one,
exactly,
like the new old Polaroid,
exactly.
Okay, very good.
A sunrise simulation alarm clock, a Decathlon bike chain.
A what?
A Decathlon bike chain.
A Decathlon bike chain lock. Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so okay, listen.
Security practical.
Alexandre came on a bicycle. Do you have the Decathlon? That is. I mean, why have they named? What does Decathlon have on other manufacturers? Other than, again, I think they're probably a big advertiser in Le Monde. But anyway,
not really. A Decathlon is actually one of the most liked brands in the country.
Well, of course it is. I mean, it's from one of the wealthiest families in Europe as well, and blah blah blah. But what can you endorse this as someone who cycled through the rain this morning?
Well, my journalism ethics would sort of actually come in the way right now, because I cannot tell you whether or not I do actually have a Decathlon bicycle chain on my Decathlon bicycle itself. But it
Other
could,
bicycles are available.
yeah. It could be that I actually have that lock chain. Yeah. I cannot deny nor confirm.
It's a national pastime, though, to go down to Decathlon.
It's a
one
thing.
of those things, and it's adorable in the way that it operates in compared with other countries. I remember being in a Decathlon in the south of France, and the bow and arrow section was not behind a locked case. It was wonderful, and there were children wandering around with archery equipment, just pointing it around. And I just thought, this is the most wonderful thing in the world, that it actually becomes a place where you can go and play, but with danger.
Yeah, well, it's the thing. They're hugely popular. They have rather, quality goods, and it's rather cheap. And they're hugely popular, both in the public and as well for, when they actually ask for people to join the company. They're overwhelmed by candidates. It's a national thing. Some people go to IKEA, then others go to Decathlon and play around with bows and arrows.
Yeah, hold on. But what are they really, really doing at Decathlon? Because I can sort of vouch for a colleague here as well. who was wearing tiny shorts. It is Decathlon is the home of tiny shorts as well in France. Come on. Let's distill it for what it really is.
Now I feel like they have, free advertising at the moment. But yeah, there are tiny shorts. It's France, so you also have pétanque at Decathlon, which you cannot play in-house. I'm sorry.
But you can wander around with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
I guess.
Petri, listen, I know that Stockmann, of course, has a good sports department. Has Decathlon reached your side of the Baltic yet?
No, it hasn't. I know what it is. I've seen it around, but I haven't seen it in Helsinki. I don't think I've seen it in Tallinn. I don't think I've seen it in Stockholm either. Maybe Tyler, you have, but I haven't spotted it. No.
So listen, tiny shorts and bows and arrows heading your way. Very quickly, Petri, if we don't speak to you before Christmas, we might though. Tell us what is the plan? What's going to be happening over the coming weeks?
Okay, so over the coming weeks, I'm hoping to make a trip up to Lapland to actually talk to Santa and do a couple of stories on sort of the high-end tourism boom that's currently taking place in Lapland. Then there's a trip to Tallinn to check out the Christmas markets in Tallinn and do some stories there. So quite a busy couple of weeks still coming up before then, of course, long Christmas holidays.
Petri Burtsoff, our man in Helsinki for us. Thank you very much for that. Just coming up to 10:31 here in Paris. You're listening to Monocle on Sunday. Emma Nelson is here with news headlines.
Thank you very much indeed, Tyler. France's President Emmanuel Macron will travel to London to meet the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, along with the German Chancellor and British Prime Minister. The meeting comes a week after Monsieur Macron hosted President Zelensky in Paris. Qatar says negotiations over the war in Gaza are at a critical moment. Mediators are working to force the next phase of the ceasefire forward. Chinese fighter jets have directed their fire control radar at Japanese aircraft over international waters. Japan's defense minister said jets were launched from an aircraft carrier manoeuvring close to the Japanese Okinawan islands. This year's Miss France competition has been won by Miss Tahiti, flanked by dozens of other contenders. The winner, Hinapoko Devez, was crowned after a lengthy and glitzy telethon. And the mayor of Bordeaux says he is not interested in the wishes of his city's residents after a petition asked for a traditional Christmas tree to be put up in the city's main square. Pierre Urmic, who represents the Green Party, said he couldn't care less for the opinion of people he called les fachos, or fascists.
Okay, all right. We have to, Emma, thank you very much for that.
We have to thank Adrien for pointing us in the direction of
that story.
The craze over Christmas trees. So thank you, Adrien. Merci.
You're welcome.
But the craze in what sense, though? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what to.
Don't throw it over to Alexandre. That's not fair. Don't put him on the spot.
No. I think it sounds a bit ridiculous. They cancel the Christmas party. They don't put any tree anymore on the place. You've got a different opinion.
Here we go.
No, it's just it's true. They don't put an actual tree, so it's not a chopped down tree. They have some sort of modern art installation.
No.
That's killing the magic of
glass.
Christmas. No.
It's glass.
It's glass. It's a glass green reusable tree, which looks
made of plastic.
Made of
fantastic,
probably, or made of glass. I feel bad because I just told listeners worldwide that we don't have culture wars over Christmas, and now we're discussing whether or not we should have a glass Christmas tree in the center of Bordeaux. It actually looks quite stylish, to be honest, but it's true, it's not the traditional tree. I'm just wondering whether or not a mayor, you should know there's a mayoral election next year. It's actually in March, and I'm wondering how well that goes down with voters when you call them fascists and say I couldn't care less about your opinion. As a political analyst, I'm quite intrigued by this new method.
I was we had colleagues the other day, Emma, you will appreciate this. Laura, I don't know if you caught some of this as well, but we had our colleagues visiting from London, and they were sort of, going around Zurich, and they couldn't believe just the scale and size of the Christmas trees, which are, several stories high, even just in front of a restaurant that they put up. And people were saying, again, you could go into sort of many councils in London, and there was something sort of, sad maybe in the square, which was sort of a bit of off kilter with two baubles on it.
We're still going to get our tree from Norway, I believe.
Well, I hope that's sort of a national symbol, but I'm sort of talking at a council level.
Arguably, Switzerland has more trees easily accessible
Oh, I don't know, but they're sort of quite high. You got to get them down. Those.
And they've probably got better equipment.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure the Swiss would agree on that front. Listen, just before we go, because we came out of the back of the news, Alexandre, maybe we want to talk a little bit about, news channels. Of course, C News. There's been sort of a little bit of a conversation in this country about what people are allowed to get away with around microphones, with cameras on, with cameras off, radio studios, TV studios. The Fox newsification of France. Explain.
Well, there's been a national debate that has started, right? Because we do have this news station, or I maybe should not call it a news station, but it's a TV station. It's called CNews. It's owned by an extremely conservative millionaire, and they've have now become the *1 continuous news channel in France. And the problem there
is it continuous news? If Emma and I, not that Emma and I are sort of sharing a room, but we were sharing viewing habits last night. If I would have turned over from TF1 at 2 a.m., would C News have been live at 2 a.m., do you think?
They would probably do. So they have a thing. They rerun past speeches, usually by left-wing figures, around 2 to 3 a.m. because they're duty-bound. They actually have a legal obligation to try and balance. So what they do is that they talk extreme hard right from basically 6 in the morning to maybe midnight every day. And then when nobody's watching, they sort of spun a tape of a left-wing candidate speaking. And that's one of the things that have people, trying to talk about whether or not it's a balanced news station. It's not. And the reality there is, how do you actually not really control, but make sure that you have a news ecosystem which actually abides to the duty of a news station? And there's been a new debate, which is Emmanuel Macron sort of spun up an old proposal made by the États Généraux de l'Information, which was sort of a public reflection about how do you control news, or how do you make sure that news are balanced and fair. And President Macron sort of spun the idea of having a label of this is an official news, or this is actually a rather newsworthy or trustworthy news. And that is a bit concerning for any democracy out there. So it's now coming to France. The real question is, how do you make sure people are informed enough to make proper political decisions while not being controlled by the state and not being controlled by the private interest of reactionary billionaires? It's a fascinating debate. And I think it's a debate that every country in the world is having.
Absolutely.
And we've seen the results of whether or not you have a balanced news ecosystem in the States. So now the real problem is, how do you actually do that? We don't have the answers in France. We might, sort of boast that we have. Well, at one point, we'll say we have this sorted. The reality is we haven't, and we have elections coming up. There are mayoral elections in 2026. Of course, there's a big presidential election in 2027, and that's something we should keep talking about for a while.
But is it a bit pie in the sky thinking in a contemporary news setting, no matter where you are in the world? Wouldn't you say, okay, once upon a time, if you just had one news channel, right, that maybe it made sense that, of course, you provide balance. But now if you have, I don't know, you've got 5, 6 rolling news channels in France. So you'd say, of course, yes, you have the state broadcaster. Maybe that is their job. But maybe my expectations, if listen, I'm going to end up at C News because I want a right-wing perspective. That's where I'm going to go. And I can go to another channel to get, balance, or I can go to another channel if I want something which is far left. Is that maybe where we have to end up, not having this expectation that C News has to be upstanding and present every side of the argument because it's a changed news landscape?
Well, then you have two things. Either you're an information channel or you're a confirmation channel. If you're a confirmation channel and you publicly say so, then you say, yes, we are a conservative channel and you can come here for conservative analysis, which is perfectly valid. I mean, It's
called C News. Hey.
It's called C News, and everybody, every newspaper out there has an editorial line.
Sure.
The problem there is that they brand themselves as an information channel. So you come for the expectation that what you're being sort of fed is an information, whereas it's not. And this is not coming from me as a journalist. They've been convicted over 19 times of spreading false information and racial hatred. When you're a multi-condemned news channel, perhaps you should rebrand yourself. If you're a debate channel, that's fine. If you're an analysis channel, maybe you can, but don't brand yourself an information channel, because that does mislead the public. Whether or not you're having fair information is critical in a functional democracy. And right now, there's this, sort of democratic fatigue spreading throughout Europe, and having a balanced information ecosystem is actually vital to democracies.
It is.
It is. And the problem is right now, in the state that France is in, it's not helping. I mean, we have major issues right now. And to be honest, having the number one news station spreading fake news is not helping.
This is hopefully not a channel of, that is spreading fake news, just only tiny shorts and shopping at Decathlon for Christmas. That's, hey.
And we did say that Santa does exist.
And Santa also exists as well.
News.
Yes, for sure. Alexandre Couchneur, very nice having you on air. Joyeux Noël. I think you're allowed to say that in France, aren't you?
We are, and I wish you all a Joyeux Noël. Do brand luxury knitwear if you can. Do brand, do buy secondhand handphones if
listen,
you want to.
I hope there's lots of Milano stitch under your Christmas tree as well.
I wish that to all of you listeners, and Joyeux Noël à tous.
Just wait for me.
You're listening to Monocle on Sunday. We're go ahead. Sorry,
Adrian, are you just angling to give him a discount?
I heard that. Listen, Mike's off. You're listening to Monocle on Sunday. We're live in Paris. We're back after this.
With winter in full swing, now's a time to plan an alpine escape. Introducing Monocle's latest travel title, Switzerland, the Monocle Handbook, a practical and inspirational guide that takes you on a tour of our most cherished Swiss spots. Featuring mountainside resorts, riverside bars, smart boutiques, and the finest food and wine, this handbook sets out all the places that makes this smooth-moving nation tick. And for those looking to stay in Switzerland a little longer, we examine the areas you may want to live or set up shop. For more on the land of high peaks and great urban living, visit monocle.com.
You are back with Monocle on Sunday with me, Tyler Brûlé. Emma Nelson is also here. It is also the Monocle Christmas Market as well here in Paris, premiere edition. Adrian Garcia has remained. We said goodbye to Alexandre Couchneur. He's unlocking his decathlon lock right now with his decathlon bike. Florence, bonjour. Very nice to see you. Good morning.
Bonjour. Good morning, Tyler.
You missed. We've had a whole session talking about tiny shorts already. So.
Very sad. I would have been very.
There's time left. We have 8
Yeah,
minutes.
exactly.
Okay.
We have plenty of time. Florence, I sent you a note. Maybe it was at 10:30. It was 11:30 last night. I said you're coming on radio this morning. We need to be talking about the world of Miss France. I knew it existed, but I was amazed. It was just there was the woman representing. We have to talk about best costumes because there is this sort of moment where they have these regional outfits, and Miss Limousin, she was dressed as a saucer. She was obviously representing the ceramics community.
And you had Miss Charente-Maritime as an oyster.
This was Emma's.
And because I was getting little messages from Tyler saying, "Have you seen the lady dressed as a saucer?" I'm like, "No, we need to talk about the oyster lady." I mean, the poor woman was never going to win anything.
No, and then also Miss Calais as well.
The stripy numbers.
Yeah, stripy numbers. I thought she could have been in a dinghy, also heading to the UK as well. It could have been that anyway.
But Miss France, I think, is a huge. Almost 9 to 10 million people watched it last night, which is one of the biggest, televised, national, shared by all kind of people event. The guy who presents it has been doing that for 30 years.
Jean-Pierre Foucault, right?
Jean-Pierre Foucault.
78.
Yeah, 78 years old.
He's been presenting it for 70 years.
No, he's been with us, I believe, since the 90s doing it.
The big news, I mean, it's more than 100 years old. I think Miss France, it was the first beauty pageant agent in the world. And a couple of years ago, the winner had short hair, which was like, wow, biggest news ever. You noticed that last night everybody had very long hair.
Yeah, very. We were even saying it was almost sort of like MAGA hair. It was sort of like that sort of bouncy haircut that you see everybody wearing at Mar-a-Lago. It was a little bit like that, no?
Me today.
Not you today. You're in a world of sort of semi short hair. But by the way, just for listeners who are not familiar with Florence around this microphone, you're of course the creator and of course CEO of Live magazine. Maybe just for our listeners, what is Live magazine? And we think this is a bit of a live magazine as well, but you're doing something a little bit more epic than this.
It's a bit epic, and it's been successful, which is very comforting for us journalists, because I come from journalism. We have decided 12 years ago to put journalists on a stage in different venues in France, in Europe, and also all over the world. And we, as if you were buying your weekly magazine, you don't know what's inside. So speakers, mostly journalists, but authors come on the stage to tell reported stories and telling them live, and nothing is recorded. And in a time of mistrust and fatigue towards our industry that we love, it's really enheartening to be selling thousands of tickets in a few hours.
And so tell us how an evening unfolds. So how many you have? You might have someone coming and talking about photo reportage. You might have someone who's coming and recounting being out in the field. How many people would I get? Am I getting value for money if I show up? And am I there for 90 minutes, 2 hours? How long does this run?
It runs almost 2 hours. Usually you have 10 or 12 stories, which are in different formats. Something is going to be only audio, some is going to be more stand-up-y, some will have like sound bites, and it's all reported, it's all told in the first person.
So it's not interviews, it's not Q&As or no?
No, it's not Q&As. It's we have a rock band, so I am happy to say that I have my own rock band at age 54. So this is nice, and so we compose music. And
any tiny shorts on stage?
As a matter of fact, yes, we did a tiny short, actually, because the brand dresses us, Cézanne, and they are big on tiny shorts. Not for me personally, but the idea is to drive people who are towards journalism. We did a Sudan story last week, which was very great. We do some more style sections. So you have section as in a newspaper, but you will also engage people with with controversial stories and frontline stories and anything that we think could build trust towards journalists.
And who's in the audience?
So it's funny you say that, because
you said thousands of tickets. So I wonder if there is sort of a core. I mean, these are obviously people who,
tickets are not very expensive. So we have a pretty varied political. I think we have people on a varied political spectrum. Something which I'm pretty proud of, because in polarized time where we are, you're happy to have people who don't vote on the same side and who don't consume the same news, sitting together and on difficult stories sometimes. And we have pretty educated crowds, but we go to the regions in France, and we also bring kids from the banlieue. We have a media literacy program, and the kids, they love it, and we try to infuse in them the importance of reporting as well.
Okay, well, the importance of reporting. There's a big story which, of course, has been making I would say quite a bit of news if you've been following the French press over the last few weeks, which of course is the arrival of Shine, of course the Chinese discounter brand. But I guess more importantly that they've arrived in France and they've taken up real estate and space within BHV. And maybe, Adrian, I'll set it. You have to set it up for people who are not familiar with BHV. It has been. I mean, maybe it's not seen as a national institution at the moment, but what type of retailer is it?
BHV is, I think, this is the oldest department store of Paris, in front of a city hall. I think for the last generation, I mean, every woman and every man have been there to shop. I mean, I don't know about the positioning of this BHV. It's not le bon marché, you know. It's more.
What was very, very striking about BHV, it means Bazar de l'Hôtel de Ville, is the bazaar thing. And the
basement.
The basement was this kind of marvelous, and still is, where you can buy a nail.
Shower curtain,
all kinds of, anything you will find. Well, quincaillerie is this kind of drugstore who's been there forever. It's been a kind of an iconic place where you could make something very mundane. I need a scotch tape. Let's go to BHV. And then you will have all this these interesting brands, but of course it's been revamped and it's been also bought by this new entrepreneur who decided to invite Shine, which was very not well received.
I'm slightly baffled by the presence of Shine because I've, as a long-time lover of BHV, I can remember about the last time I went, I bought a Comptoir de Cotonnier leather jacket and a soap dispenser, and I thought, what a perfect shop this is. But then when you see that there's the second building which is dedicated purely to men and luxury, and then you have the sort of the revamping of it, and I never entirely was quite sure about the identity of it, and to have Shine in there, it seems that it's trying to be everything to all people, but might not succeed in that
and yeah,
respect.
I guess my question is also, is it just a real estate play? They just wanted to lease more space, or did he want to shake things up a little bit as well, or maybe he didn't quite bargain for the backlash maybe to our French colleagues across the table?
This guy is very young, he's 34, so he came as this kind of l'Américain, some kind of very supposedly self-made guy, which is, now that we're kind of all looking a bit into his background, it's a little more complicated than that. So he had access to a huge amount of cash. He started buying 6 or 8 Galeries Lafayette in different towns. The mayors saw him as like, godsend, because they had all these problems with this, city center retail completely disappearing. And so he did that with a lot of, as we say, bagou, this kind of like, assured charm and a bit of a crook guy at the same time. Nobody really knew and so when he arrived at the city, he said, I'm going to take over BHV and I'm going to make it work. People, it's as if they wanted to believe him. And of course, the thing is, he's not been paying all the corners and all the brands in the BHV. So they've been leaving
for months,
by, started with Guerlain and everybody started leaving. Now, when you go to BHV, it's half
empty.
It's really depressing. And Shine, I don't know even what to say. It's such a classic French thing, and suddenly to have like the worst of fast fashion, people were shocked, I think.
Just tell us very quickly, this is a country where there's often sort of state intervention when it comes to loved and revered national icons, but this is probably a story as well. That, well, I'm not saying it goes away, but there's been this outcry. Obviously, the customer is sort of voting with their pocketbook. We're not saying they're not going there, and this has obviously been a huge conversation. But as an analyst of this country, do you see it correcting itself, or this is another department store that will probably go away? As sad as that might be, or are they going to get the memo and say, look, this is not happening. We need to have Guerlain. We need to have all of these brands there, and we need to get our house in order.
No, this is not going to happen. Another beautiful landmark flagship store, La Samaritaine, has been having which was bought by LVMH. Is beautiful, but everybody goes and nobody buys. I hope it doesn't happen with your Christmas market.
Well, no, the Christmas market was good. Anyway, listen, when you get off air, there's lots of presents out there for you, so it's gonna be just fine. And listen, I can say that Adrien's already come to other markets, and he knows that people come and shop here.
It was a bad joke. I'm
sorry. No, it's fine. I just have to defend our interests on air.
Sometimes the French, they come and they look and they don't buy. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
and
but I heard this from the 16e, because someone is running a Christmas market over there, some friends from Switzerland. They said people come around, they look, and they're not even like, they're bringing their own Glühwein, they're not even like buying mulled wine.
I think the expression is, it's like Lenin's tomb.
Yeah, anyway.
Just file past.
Yeah.
No, so La Samaritaine was such a promise, and you had such a beautiful Art Deco store, and it's been a big flop for LVMH, and they don't know what to do, so they are really trying hard to. Now some other brands are having some other brands are changing the retail, but maybe it's another conversation, and are succeeding. But I don't know if this big department store that we like will survive.
Okay, and just quickly before we go for both of you, all presents have been purchased. Everything, the tree is looking bountiful.
I have done my tree.
You have done your tree?
Yeah.
Okay. But are there presents underneath it yet?
Not yet.
Okay. But Do you have some recommendations? I mean, aside from buying tickets to Live magazine for next year, but anything else?
Well, I'm going to sound a bit old school, but I think we should all subscribe to the press. In France, we really do need to have a strong press, as everywhere in Europe. But
okay, if you could recommend to our listeners three French titles they should subscribe to, what would they be?
Monocle.
Of course, that most French of titles as well. Yes, why not?
Classique Le Monde, frankly, and already with that we are covered.
You're in a good place.
Yeah, you're in a good place, and some niche literary.
Give us one, something niche.
Something niche. Regain.
Regain. Okay.
Regain magazine.
Daphne will be very happy. Quickly, one from you, Adrien.
I'm thinking about Neptune. You've got this one.
Yes, which we have out on the shelf as well. We're going to have to leave you there and say joyeux Noël. Wonderful having you both around the table. Florence Kessler, also Adrien Garcia. We'll see you out front a little bit later. We're going away for a very short break. When we come back, our Fernando Augusto Pacheco is here to talk Eurovision Song Contest.
What kind of city do you want to live in? Every week on The Urbanist, we delve into the biggest questions about urban living and meet the people championing change in our cities. From star architects to designosauruses, protected views to landfills, wayfinding and cycle highways, the city is alive and kicking. Join me, Andrew Tuck, every Thursday at 2000 London time for a brand new episode. Or subscribe to the podcast and listen as you go. The Urbanist, the show that knows its good mayors from its planning nightmares.
And you're back with Monocle on Sunday with me, Tyler Brûlé. Emma Nelson's also here. Also, Fernando Augusto Pacheco just joined us in studio. You're going to be very fast. Sorry, the French, they went on and on. Bonjour, very nice to see you.
Wait till they're out of the room.
Bon dia, good to see you.
Bon dia, great to be here, Tyler.
So just tell us very quickly, Eurovision has been in the news this week. Huge controversy. Countries, of course, standing up saying, enough with Israel. We do not want them participating. And of course, many on the other side, yes, saying we still want to see Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest. What's this going to mean? Still going to go to air? Things will calm down. What do you see happening, Faye?
I see it definitely going to air. I think Austria already said that we're ready for it. It's going to happen. But having said that, Tyler, it is the most difficult year Eurovision ever had in its history. There's deep divisions. And whatever, if Israel is in or out, it would cause controversy. If Israel would be out, then many countries would boycott, potentially even Austria and Germany. So nobody can win in this situation. I personally, as an Eurovision fan, I feel a little bit sad that the event next year, it will be dominated by politics. Nobody will be talking about the Estonian fun entry. I will try, but it's going to be difficult, Tyler.
And there's also been a discussion about how they're going to readjust the voting. And this is obviously, there was much discussion. Many people saying, did Israeli security forces get involved in rigging the public vote? And oddly, the fact that they're changing it is, I'm not saying it's an admission, but it shows that they've had to rethink things.
It is a little bit of an admission, and they will change. I think a few weeks before, they're changing a little bit about how the jury votes as well. And I think this is very welcome, those changes. But I think people still, they want more of it,
And Fernando, just very quickly, how your feeling of being in Paris right now, the mood that Paris at Christmas time?
Tyler, I don't know if you know this. I have a tradition to be in Paris every first weekend of December, for a few years now. Why? Because it brings me joy. And it's before these last 2 weeks before I head to Brazil, which is very busy, hard work. But here, there's shopping, there's beauty, there's Monaco Christmas Market.
There is. And there's Fernando Augusto Pacheco. Wonderful having you. And Emma, great being sort of co-host. We feel like it could be like BFM TV. We need 20 more presenters.
We do,
around the table.
And this is the smallest studio I've ever worked with you.
Exactly.
This is the coziest we've ever been.
Huge thanks today to Florence Martin Kessler, also to Petri Burtsoff, Fernando Augusto Pacheco, also Adrien Garcia, who's also here, Alexandre Kouchner, our producers today, Laura Kramer, Desiree Bentley, Emma Nelson, also Marielle Bevan, and wonderful having Steph Chungo here as well. I'm Tyler Brûlé. Monocle on Sunday is back next week. Goodbye.